Hi, I'm Judi Vitale with ReadTheStars.com. I am here to tell you today about the eclipse that occurred on November 25th at 1:10 a.m. Eastern Time. It was at 2 degrees Sagittarius. Well, what does that mean? What's an eclipse? An eclipse is a time when the sun, moon, and earth are all lined up. And it's a solar eclipse, so the sun was eclipsed by the shadow that occurred. And that means that for that moment in time, and probably for about 10 days afterwards, we're going to kind of lose the Sagittarian spirit, which we were just celebrating a few days ago as being this exuberance, this wonder, all this kind of thing. It's a little bit concerning anytime that you have an eclipse because it means that events are going to be triggered. It just works out that way. If you have a birthday around this time, this is going to be a very significant year for you. You're going to do something big. You might get a new job, you might move, you might change your career, you might change your appearance, if you need to lose weight or you need to gain weight, whatever it is going to take effect for you this year. So, happy birthday too, by the way, if you were born around this day. I always like to look at where the eclipses are visible. This one is just like down by Antarctica there. It's really not a great big deal. But I also like to look at the location lines to show me at the time of the eclipse what planets were like at the top of the chart or at the sides of the chart in a certain place in the world, because it changes wherever you move it around on the map. And because once I see this and I see the symbolism, I can kind of start to see what kinds of events might occur. The biggest one of concern that I see on the whole map of the whole world is in Hawaii, of all places. Beautiful, peaceful, most gorgeous place I've ever seen. And the Uranus was right above, straight up in the sky at the time of the eclipse for those in Hawaii. And I would think that it would mean something unexpected happens there. Now, when you start to look at what we call the 90-degree dial, which is a way of looking at the symmetry of all the planets and how they relate to the world, I see there that the sun and moon, which are together on one side because it's an eclipse and they're together, and the way that the 90-degree dial is set up does this. On the other side, symmetrical to it, pointing at the Aries axis, is Vulcanus. Vulcanus. Okay, so I would say that we might hear something about the volcanic activity in Hawaii. Does this mean there's going to be some kind of terrible disaster? Possibly, but not necessarily so. I would just say it's always a good idea to be prepared for such things. So if you live in Hawaii, do whatever they tell you to do and prepare, to deal with the fact that you live on volcanic islands. It's just the way that it is. So that really is the worst of what I see. There's also some activity, though, going down through the very eastern part of China, through the western part of the Philippines, through Indonesia and Western Australia. As we know, there's been a lot of stuff going on there with earthquakes and floods, and not Western Australia so much, but certainly Indonesia and Kuala Lumpur, all these places. Bangkok has Mercury going through it. That's probably not great for the rain situation that's going there. Saturn goes through Baghdad and Iraq and part of Iran, and part of the Saudi Peninsula as well. Saturn on the midheaven usually indicates some kind of reality check, some kind of thing that people have to deal with reality. So many things are going on there. You can use your imagination or just, think of what you might think it might be. There are things going on there and have been going on there for a very long time. And this is just a very troubled part of the world right now. And when Saturn comes to it, I think that there's going to be some kind of authority, maybe more sanctions, maybe something more serious. I don't know for sure. In terms of things like violence or uprisings, that kind of thing, that line goes right through France this time. Also West Africa. So right back where all of the stuff started back in March, okay, that's where it all started in Algeria. The Mars line is going right through there. So those are the areas of the world that I think are a little bit, rocky and might have a few problems as a result of this eclipse. This eclipse will culminate on December 10th, which is the same day that Uranus goes direct at almost the same spot that it did on March 11th, 2011. That was not a great day in the world. If you remember, that was the huge earthquake in Japan. So, now, What else does an eclipse do for your life? Well, there are a lot of things personally for you. And an eclipse is always a new beginning. It's usually something that happens to you rather than something that you initiate. Although it's a new moon, if something has happened to you, you can now initiate it and bring it forth into fruition. So I'm going to list the horoscopes for the day on the site along with this video. So go back there and look, and you'll get an idea as to what area of your life this eclipse is affected. If you have any questions, comments, or other things that you would like to know, or anything, send them to me at Judi, Judi, @readthestars.com.